I'm sorry, I think you have the wrong table, she said softly, her voice carrying a mix of politeness and confusion. The man standing across from her froze, his hand still holding the edge of the chair he had just pulled out. For a brief moment, their eyes met, hers filled with cautious warmth, his with startled recognition, as if he had seen a ghost. The cafe around them buzzed with laughter, the clinking of cups, and the soft hum of morning chatter, but for these two strangers, time seemed to stop. Evelyn had chosen that small corner cafe in downtown Vancouver because it reminded her of simpler times, before her divorce, before the sleepless nights worrying about bills, before she had to juggle 2 part-time jobs to keep her small apartment. She came there every Thursday morning before work, sitting at the same table by the window, where the sunlight touched her coffee just right. It was her quiet escape, her 1 hour of peace before reality came rushing back. That morning, she had been lost in thought, her fingers wrapped around a steaming mug, when the man appeared, tall, well-dressed, clearly from another world. I'm sorry, I think you have the wrong table, she repeated, a little embarrassed now. But the man didn't move right away. He blinked, almost as if trying to place her. Then he smiled, awkwardly. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was supposed to meet someone here, I guess I got the table wrong. He was about to turn away when Evelyn, out of simple kindness, said, It's okay, you can sit here if you want. The cafe's packed anyway. He hesitated, then nodded. Thanks, I'm Daniel. They talked, first about coffee, then about the city, then about life. It was strange how quickly comfort grew between them. Evelyn learned that Daniel was an architect, recently returned from Montreal, struggling to adjust after losing his wife in a car accident 2 years ago. He spoke of the silence that filled his apartment, how he avoided places they used to go, how even coffee had lost its taste. Evelyn listened quietly, her eyes softening with understanding. When he asked about her, she smiled faintly and said, Just trying to start over. She didn't mention the nights she cried herself to sleep after her husband left. She didn't tell him about the second job she picked up cleaning offices. But somehow, he seemed to see through her silence. Weeks passed, and what began as an accidental meeting became a routine. Every Thursday morning, Daniel and Evelyn shared that same table. They talked about books, dreams, regrets, and everything in between. Sometimes they laughed, sometimes they just sat in silence, the kind of silence that feels like healing. But life, as always, tests the heart. One morning, Evelyn didn't show up. Daniel waited, his eyes darting to the door every few minutes. The waitress, noticing, said softly, She left her phone here last week. Maybe she's in trouble. He found her 2 days later, at the hospital, sitting beside her mother's bed. Her mother had suffered a stroke, and Evelyn hadn't left her side since. When Daniel walked in with flowers and coffee, her tired eyes brightened for the first time in days. You didn't have to come, she said weakly. I wanted to, he replied. You once told me that sometimes life seats us at the wrong tables just to find the right people. She smiled, and for the first time in years, tears fell not from sadness but from gratitude. In that small hospital room, surrounded by machines and the faint smell of disinfectant, something shifted. Daniel began visiting daily, bringing not just coffee, but warmth, the kind that seeps into the cracks of a broken heart. Months passed. Evelyn's mother recovered slowly, and Daniel's laughter started to sound like music again. One spring morning, back at their favorite cafe, Daniel reached across the table and said, Do you remember the first thing you said to me? Evelyn chuckled. I told you that you had the wrong table. He smiled. Maybe I did, but fate had the right plan. Tears filled her eyes as she realized how much those simple, unexpected moments had changed both their lives. Neither of them had been looking for love, they were just trying to survive. Yet, somehow, the universe had gently guided them toward each other, one wrong table at a time. In the end, it wasn't grand gestures or perfect timing that brought them together. It was kindness, the simple act of offering a seat to a stranger who had lost his way. And in doing so, Evelyn found hers again. Sometimes, the tables we think are wrong are exactly where we're meant to sit. And sometimes, fate doesn't make mistakes, it just waits for us to see the beauty in them. As the camera fades out, the two sit quietly by the window, sipping coffee, sunlight spilling across their joined hands, two souls who once thought life had ended, now discovering that maybe, just maybe, it had only just begun.